For number 8 on the quiz, we had this identity, and it looked like when I looked at the quizzes, for the people that had time to get there, you either did the left or the right, and you were successful both ways. So I'm just going to show you the strategies that I went through. Okay, one of our common strategies is to rewrite stuff in terms of sine and cosine. So I'm going to work on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side, cotangent squared is cosine squared over sine squared. And then because I had a fraction now, I turned cosine squared into cosine squared over 1, so that I had 2 fractions. Because if I'm working with fractions, something that I can do is to get a common denominator. So to get a common denominator, I need to multiply the numerator and denominator of the second fraction by sine squared x. And if I clean that up, I have cosine squared minus cosine squared times sine squared over sine squared. And I can factor out a cosine. So factoring out a cosine gives you cosine times 1 minus sine squared over sine squared. Sorry, factor out a cosine squared. Then these two terms together become cotangent squared. And 1 minus sine squared becomes cosine squared. There were 2 students who, in the process of solving this or verifying the identity, you broke the one rule that we have. Like really the one rule that we have for identities is that you cannot treat it like an equation. What that means is I can't add 1 to both sides. Now, obviously adding 1 doesn't help me at all. Like, why would I do that? But multiplying both sides by cosine or something might be what you want to do. You're not allowed to do that because we are verifying that this equation is true, which means right now it's not true, or it might be true. So you can't use a property of equality, like multiplying both sides by cosine or sine, when you don't know if the equation is true. So that was the one rule. We had 2 people in block 3 that did that. And maybe more of you would have done that, but you didn't have time to get to the problem. But 2 people in block 3 multiplied both sides by something, or they did that on 2 identities. So, and both of them did it on 2 identities. So that means you lost 6 points on the quiz. There's 20 points on the quiz. You went down to a 70% because of one rule. You gotta know what you're supposed to know. Okay, there's no way, and maybe you did it on your homework and it just didn't ever show up as like obvious that you couldn't do that. But you have to know the one thing you're not allowed to do.